We all want certainty when it comes to our finances. As retirement investors, there are two ways to obtain certainty when it comes to your retirement portfolio and whether your finances are sustainable in retirement. You can either educate or delegate. In this video, we're going to talk about the ultimate form of retirement investing delegating, which is retirement annuities. The question is, can a retirement annuity be a useful tool in your retirement income portfolio? In today's video, we're going to be exploring that concept. I'll be talking through how you would identify and understand the retirement annuity as one of many retirement income tools in your retirement income toolbox. The best way to think about a retirement annuity is that it is the ultimate form of retirement investing delegation. See, we're going to think of, or I'm going to explain this through the lens of two different spectrums. There's what I call the investment certainty spectrum and the income certainty spectrum. When you are navigating the retirement risk zone, and you are crafting your retirement income, but also setting up your retirement investments, you will naturally be buffeted, moved around by the more certain or less certain investment options and the trade-offs that exist between them. On the screen here, you can see a representation of what I call the investment certainty spectrum. Now, when you're setting up your retirement investments, you are working on the spectrum, whether you know it consciously or not. On the spectrum are the level of certainty you will feel about the stability or safety of your underlying investment principle. All right. What that means is if you invest in $1 in some investment today, what will happen to that original dollar? Will it disappear entirely? What's the level of probability that it might disappear entirely versus what's the level of probability it might shoot off and become $10, a 1,000% return or a 10 times return, right? So on the screen here, you can see this spectrum. On the left, you have the most uncertain investments, and on the right, you have what I would consider the most certain investments. And there's a spectrum, and even within each type of investment that I've listed here on the screen, you could break this down further. But for the purpose of illustration here, you might find all the way on the left side, the most uncertain types of investments might be something like investing in a lottery ticket, right? You have very little behavioral outcome or behavioral effect on the outcome of that lottery winnings. It's pure gambling, but the returns are astronomically huge, but also the likelihood of winning is very, very, very low. And then you might also in that, most uncertain part of the spectrum, throw things like a meme coin, like Dogecoin or something like that. It's an investment, you can buy into it, but the probabilities of winning are very, very low and you have very little influence via your own behaviors. On the far right side of the spectrum, you might throw something like an annuity. We'll talk about the annuity in more detail, but the reason the annuity falls all the way on the right side is because you, as the investor into an annuity, have no responsibility for the actual investment performance. You simply buy a contract that tells you at a current or future date, you will receive this stream of monthly, quarterly, or annual income payments. And in return, some insurance company will curate the investments on your behalf. And you, as the owner of the annuity contract, have no risk based on the performance of the market or the annuity or the underlying investments. And that is the ultimate form of delegation. And then somewhere in between, you have a diversified portfolio here where you might have a mix of different investments that offset each other in terms of their risk level or their ability to produce income or protect your underlying principal. The idea here is you are choosing among this spectrum based on your personal preferences and your understanding of the pros and cons because there are trade-offs. For instance, with an annuity, you give up access to the underlying investment dollars when you buy that contract, which means no heir or legacy beneficiary of your money will ever receive the underlying investment amount that went into the annuity. And that is a fine bargain to make if you understand that that's what will happen. And in exchange, you get a nice level of certainty and can help you sleep at night and live in retirement with less anxiety because you understand that you're going to get a very clear, crafted source of income and have no responsibility for managing the investments. Now, if we move to the second spectrum here, I call this the income certainty spectrum. And what we are trying to do is we're trying to pair the right investment level of certainty with the right income level of certainty. And those two things go together like a puzzle and allow us to operate in retirement with a relatively lower anxiety state of being. On the left side of the income certainty spectrum, you might have somebody who has a very small Social Security benefit, which is a guaranteed source of income that is not your responsibility to curate the underlying investments. And maybe that party also has limited investment income. Maybe it's a small or constrained pool of assets, or maybe no assets at all. You have very little spending flexibility all the way on the left side there, and you might have either not enough money to spend or very little permission to spend that money because you live in so much fear of the income stability. In the middle, you might have someone who has moderate Social Security and a moderate to large amount of investment income. The problem there might be that their guaranteed income, like their Social Security income, is not sufficient to cover all the basic expenses. And so you have this additional layer of uncertainty, which is, how do I craft the income from my moderate to large investment pool? And is that going to be sufficient to give me stable income for the rest of my life? And what are the responsibilities I take upon my shoulders if I am responsible for crafting that income? And then all the way on the right side of the income certainty spectrum, you'll have somebody who has potentially many or all of these options, which are high levels of Social Security, many or several large pensions, several large annuities, as well as investment income. The person that has the most sources of guaranteed income that are above or very closely match their desired levels of spending will have the most income certainty, and then their portfolio is only required to produce extra spending money, which reduces or relieves a lot of the investment or income related stress that you might feel. Now, the thing to understand here is that these are both on a spectrum, and there are trade-offs to these different types of investments. When you make the trade into an investment that gives you more certainty in the form of principal protection or more certainty in the form of income protection or income certainty, you have to understand that there will be trades. In the case of an annuity, the annuity will provide you both of those things, principal protection and income stability, and it will also simplify your taxes. But in return, you're going to pay high fees. You're going to lose access to the principal or original investment amount, and you will also have a really tough time. It's very complicated to choose a proper annuity because there is such a wide variety of them. It's like the Cheesecake Factory menu of investments. There's many, many different types of annuities. They all function in different and creative ways. It would be much simpler if there were just standard uniform types of annuities, but unfortunately they're not. Now, I always say this to my clients, I am investment tool agnostic, meaning I don't have a preference for the type of investment a client uses as long as it matches their desired outcomes and their personality profile and allows them to spend money and enjoy their retirement if they've been a diligent saver. And so I'd encourage you to consider two things as a result of understanding annuities through these two frameworks. The two things are, one, how much income uncertainty are you willing to tolerate? Do you have comfort with crafting your own income and maybe having a shifting or changing income landscape year by year or maybe quarter by quarter in retirement if you were to take on your own investment responsibility? Or if you find that to be completely unpalatable and it would cause a heart attack or give you great deals of stress, would you be willing to consider an annuity? Then the second consideration would be, well, what if we don't use an annuity for all of your retirement income? What if you just use it for a portion to boost your guaranteed sources of income so that you can increase the coverage ratio of your desired spending and require yourself from your investment assets to only cover a smaller portion of discretionary spending through investments you manage on your own? Both can be good strategies. Again, you have to think of a retirement annuity through the lens of, what does it do for my legacy consequences? What does it do for my protection of principal? What will it cost me? And can I stomach all those things? And if you can, maybe there's a way to hybridize or blend these different income sources together. Now, I have a separate video that goes much more detailed into types of annuities. Then you can watch that by clicking the link above my hand here. It goes into much more detail about the types of annuities and how you'd think about selecting them and how they pay out and the riders and all that type of stuff. If you're considering adding a retirement annuity into your investment mix or just want to know how you'd consider that, highly recommend watching that longer, it's almost 20 minutes, more detailed video. If you're trying to do your own retirement income planning and you are finding it difficult to navigate this on your own, despite all the information from these different videos that we're providing, you can schedule a free consultation with me and my fee-only fiduciary financial planning team using the link in the description here below this video. And we'd be happy to help set you on the right path to understand your retirement finances and hopefully have a more stable financial future in retirement. Thanks as always for your time and attention, and we'll see you in the next video.